Hello, students. Welcome to today's class. I remain myself, Miss Bassi. Okay, today we are going to be looking at English grammar, and our topic for discussion, or the class rather, is for just one English grammar, and the class is for just one. Now, the topic we are going to be looking at today is subject verb agreement. Subject verb agreement. That's actually the topic that we are going to be looking at today. Let's go over to a specific objective at the end of the lesson. You watching this video, you over there at home, you should be able to achieve these things that I would actually be calling out and that you can see on your screen. The first thing that you should be able to achieve after this lesson is that you should be able to identify 6 rules that guide subject verb agreement. You should be able to identify 6 rules, 6 rules that guide subject verb agreement. Now, the number 2 specific objective, the number 2 thing that you should be able to achieve is that you should be able to give examples of the identified rules. You should be able to actually give examples of the identified rules. Now, before we go into the lesson proper, let me bring it to your notice that we have so many rules that guide subject verb agreement. There are so many, there are up to 18 rules that actually guide subject verb agreement, but we are breaking it down. We are going to be looking at 6 today. In our next class, we would look at more until we actually get to complete the rules that guide subject verb agreement. And very important, number 2, it's one thing to identify the rules, it's one thing to actually know these rules, and it is another thing to be able to construct good and correct sentences using the rules. Because the rule is actually to guide you, the rule is there to guide you, to help you to construct good sentences, which would also help you in speech and in your writings as well. So pay keen attention and take proper note of everything that we are going to be discussing today. Let's go over to the lesson proper. Now, before we look at the rules, I want you to understand that every sentence must have a subject and a verb. I want to believe you remember that. And your subject is made up of nouns. Your subjects are actually made up of nouns and pronouns. Mary is a noun. It can be the subject of a sentence. I is a pronoun. It can also be the subject of a sentence, which means your subjects are made up of strictly nouns and pronouns, while your verbs actually shows action or state of being in a sentence. Don't forget that. Take note of that because they're actually going to guide us into this lesson. Now, let's go over to the rules that guide subject verb agreement. The rules that guide subject verb agreement. For your sentence to be said to be correct, for your sentence to actually be correct, then your subject must agree with your verb. Your subject cannot disagree with your verb. If your subject disagrees with your verb, then that sentence is not a correct sentence. That sentence is grammatically wrong. Okay, let's look at some of the rules. Rule number 1, which I believe you know already. Rule number 1 states that when the subject of your sentence is singular, then the verb should also be singular. When the subject of your sentence is singular, the verb must be singular. So much so that you cannot have a singular subject and a plural verb. It is wrong. It is unacceptable. If you have such sentence, then that sentence is grammatically incorrect. Let's look at some examples. We have example 1 here. John is a boy. Now, John is a noun. Why is it a noun? Because it is the name of a person, and it actually functions as the subject of that sentence because it occupies the initial position of the sentence. John, that is the name of a person. That is the subject. Is. Is a verb. It shows states of being. Remember, a verb does not just show action, it also shows state of being. Now, John is a noun, and as you can see, it is actually a singular noun. Is a verb, and it is also what? A singular verb. That is how your sentence should actually be. That is how you should construct your sentence. In this kind of a sentence, you discover that the subject and the verb agree. The subject and the verb agree in number. John, singular. Is, singular. You can't say John are a boy. No. John are a boy. That means it's many. While John is just one person. So you go with the verb is because that is a singular verb. Now let's go over to the second example we have here. The second example says Ada sings well. Ada sings well. Now, Ada is a noun and it is the subject of that sentence. As you can see it there, sings is a singular verb. Remember, verb doesn't actually they are not constructed the same way nouns are constructed. Remember, to form a plural noun, you have to add a suffix to the original word. You have to add an s, you have to add an ies, depending on the kind of noun. But in the case of verb, all verbs are plural in themselves. So much so that if you want to make your verb a singular verb, then you have to add an s at the end of the verb. You have to add a suffix. Sing is a plural verb. Now, when you add an s to the word sing, you make the word sing a singular verb. That's why we have it there. Ada sings well. So, Ada is singular, is a singular subject, and sings is a singular verb. If you say Ada sing well, it is wrong because sing is a plural verb. And the rule number 1 says that your singular subject should go with what? A singular verb. Okay, now let's go over to rule number 2. Rule number 2 states that when the subject is plural, then automatically your verb should also be what? Plural. You shouldn't have a plural subject and a singular verb. You shouldn't have something like this. The boys likes eating. No, the boys likes eating is wrong because likes is what? Is a singular verb. The boys is what? A plural subject. Let's actually look at some examples here. Example 1 here says, we are playing. We. As you can see, any word highlighted in green is actually a noun or a subject, while the ones in blue are verbs. We are playing. We is a plural subject because it actually talks, it tells us about more than one person. We. It is a pronoun. We, a first person pronoun. We are. Are is what? Is a plural verb. You don't say we is playing. No, we are playing. That's when your sentence can be said to be grammatically correct. Let's go over to the second example. The second example here says, those girls talk too much. You don't say those girls talks too much. No. Girls, plural subject. Talk, plural verb. Remember, your lexical verb should have an s if it is in a singular form. But if it is in its plural form, then you don't need to add an s to it. Just like we can see it here, those girls talk too much. Plural subject, which is girls, and plural verb, which is talk. Okay, let's go over to rule number 3. Rule number 3 states that when two or more subjects are joined by and, the verb is plural. When two or more subjects are joined by and, the verb is plural. So if we have such subjects as Trinity and Halima, Trinity is a subject, Halima is also a subject. Now, in between Trinity, Halima, you have a coordinating conjunction that brings those two subjects together, which is and. Now, being that those two subjects are actually joined with the word and, the verb should be plural. So you say Trinity and Halima are friends, not Trinity and Halima is friends. No. Let's actually see examples. We have here Sophia and Mary are friends. Sophia and Mary are friends. Let's go over to example 2. Example 2 says, Peter, James, and John live here. Peter, James, and John live here. Now, as you can see, we have more than two subjects there. Remember, the rules is when two or more. Peter, James, and John. We have three subjects there, and these three subjects are actually joined by and. Peter, James, and John live here. You don't say lives here. Live is a plural verb. Lives is a singular verb. So Peter, James, and John live here. Not Peter, James, and John lives here. No. So please take note of that. Now, let's go over to rule number 4. Rule number 4 states that when two or more singular subjects, take note of that, singular subject, when two or more singular subjects are joined by or, either or, neither nor, not only but, the verb is singular. When two or more subjects are joined by or, either or, neither nor, not but, the verb is singular. So if you have two or more subjects, or two or more singular subjects rather, which means if two or more subjects are joined by any of these and they are singular, then the verb must be a singular verb. Let's actually see some examples here. Example 1 says, neither the boy nor the man likes cheese. Boy is a singular subject. Man is also a singular subject. And as you can see, these singular subjects are they are joined by neither nor. They are joined by neither nor. So in that case, the verb that such subject should take on should be a singular verb. Neither the boy nor the man likes cheese. Not like cheese. No, likes cheese. It must be a singular verb. Let's go over to the second sentence. The second sentence says, either he or she knows the answer. Either he or she knows the answer. Either he, singular, she, singular, third person pronoun, they are both singular. Either he or she knows the answer. Let's look at the third example here. It says, not only Jim, but Kamsi was the winner. Jim is a singular subject. Kamsi is also a singular subject. So not only Jim, but Kamsi was the winner. Let's go over to our rule number 5. Rule number 5 states that when one of the two subjects connected by or, nor, or but. Now, when I say or, nor, or but, it could be not only but, it could be neither nor, it could be either or. Now, when one of the two subjects that is being connected by any of these correlating conjunction is singular, and the other is plural, the verb automatically agrees in number with the subject that is closest to it. What that means is that if you have a sentence with two subjects, and one of those subjects is a singular subject while the other is a plural subject, and these subjects are joined by correlating conjunctions such as neither nor, either or, not only but, and or what have you. Now, the verb agrees in number with the subject that is closest to it, which means if the subject that is closest to it is plural, the verb would take on a plural form. And if the subject that is closest to it is singular, then the verb will also take on a singular form. That's what it means. Now let's look at some examples here. Let's actually look at some examples here. We have neither the boy nor the men were here. Neither the boy nor the men were here. As you can see, boy is a singular subject. Men is a plural subject. And those subjects are actually joined by correlating conjunctions neither nor. Now, the verb agrees in number with the subject that is closest to it. And the subject closest to the verb is what? Men. Men is what? A plural subject. Now, being that men is a plural subject, the verb will also be plural. So we have neither the boy nor the men were here, not was here, because the subject that is closest to the verb is a plural subject. Let's look at example 2. Example 2 says, not only the students, but also the teacher was late. Not only the students, but also the teacher was late. Now, we have two subjects here. The first is student and the second is teacher. Student is a plural subject and teacher is a singular subject. Now, as you can see, the verb was is singular, and that is because the subject closest to it is a singular subject. Teacher was late. Okay, let's go over to the sixth rule. The sixth rule states that when two or more verbs connected by or no differ in person, the verb actually agrees with the subject that is nearest to it. When two or more verbs connected by or no differ in person, the verb agrees with the subject that is closest to it. Now let's look at examples here. We have glory or you, help her. Glory or you, help her. Now, glory is singular. You, remember, you is a second person pronoun. And it goes for both singular and plural. You is singular, you is plural. Now, whenever you use you, irrespective of if the you is a singular you or the plural you, the verb that it must take on must be a plural verb. So we have here, glory or you help her, because you must always take on plural verb. Let's look at the second example. The second example says, either the boys or he has to tell the teacher. Either the boys or he has to tell the teacher. Now, boys is a plural subject, and that is the first subject in that sentence. Or he is a singular subject. It is actually a third person pronoun. And being that he is singular, the verb that comes after it, since it is actually the subject that is closest to the verb, should be a singular verb, not a plural verb. So that is that. I want to believe the lesson is well understood. If you have any question, feel free to ask me. The assignment is actually on the Google Classroom platform. Do the assignment and submit it. Have a nice day.